In the heart of southern Africa stand the ruins of a mighty stone city, its great curved walls rising higher than a house, built without a single drop of mortar. It is the largest ancient structure anywhere in Africa, south of the Great Pyramids of Egypt. And for 100 years, powerful men insisted that Africans could not possibly have built it. They were wrong. This is the story of Great Zimbabwe, and of a truth that prejudice tried and failed to bury. Its very name tells you what it is. Zimbabwe comes from the local Shona words for houses of stone. This is the story of a great African kingdom, its city of stone, and how the world was forced, at last, to believe. Great Zimbabwe rose around 800 years ago, the capital of a rich and powerful kingdom, built by the ancestors of today's Shona people. At its height, this was a bustling city of as many as 18,000 people, spread across the hills and valley below. Its centerpiece is the Great Enclosure, a colossal ring of stone. Its outer wall runs for over 800 feet, stands more than 30 feet tall, and was built from nearly 1 million granite blocks. And every one of those blocks was shaped and stacked by hand, fitted together so tightly, with no mortar at all, that the walls have stood for 8 centuries. Inside, a narrow passage runs between 2 towering walls, leading to the most mysterious structure of all. A great solid cone of stone, the Conical Tower, rising over 30 feet. It has no door, no room, and no window. To this day, no one knows for certain what it was for. Some believe it was a giant symbolic grain bin, a sign that the king would always keep his people fed. Others think it was a monument to royal power itself. High on the hill above the city sits the oldest part of all, a natural fortress of giant boulders woven together with stone walls, the sacred home of the kings. So how did a kingdom in the middle of Africa grow rich enough to build all of this? The answer is cattle and gold. Great herds of cattle were the true measure of wealth and power here, a living treasury on the hoof. But the real fortune came from gold. The land was rich with it, and Great Zimbabwe sat at the center of a vast trade network reaching all the way to the sea. African gold flowed from this city down to the ports of the Indian Ocean coast, and from there, out into the wider world. And the wider world sent its treasures back. In the ruins, archaeologists have found Chinese porcelain, Persian pottery, and glass beads from India and Arabia. This was no isolated village. Great Zimbabwe was a wealthy hub, plugged directly into the great trade routes of the medieval world. And inside those great cold rings of stone, people lived in warm, round houses of packed clay and thatch. The mighty walls were really a grand frame around a busy, living town. The builders were proud artists, too. Along the top of the greatest wall runs a bold, zigzag pattern of stone, a decorative crown stretching for hundreds of feet. The soul of the city can be seen in its most treasured art, the Zimbabwe Birds. 8 great birds, carved from soapstone, once stood watch over the city. Part eagle and part human, they are thought to represent the spirits of the ancestors, or messengers between the people and the divine. They are so important that a Zimbabwe bird still stands today at the very center of the nation's flag. For over 200 years, Great Zimbabwe was the beating heart of a golden empire. And then, like so many great cities, it faded. There was no single dramatic disaster. Most historians believe the city simply outgrew its land. Too many people, too many cattle, and too little wood and water. The soil wore out, the trees were cut down, and the gold trade began to shift to new routes further north. And so the people did the sensible thing. They packed up and moved on, founding new kingdoms elsewhere, and Great Zimbabwe was gently left behind. The kingdom did not die. Its people carried their skills north and founded new states, one so rich in gold that Portuguese ships would later cross the oceans just to trade with it. But the ruins never truly vanished. Local people always knew they were there, and always knew who had built them. And this is where the story takes a darker and more shameful turn. When European explorers and treasure hunters arrived and saw the scale of these stone walls, many simply refused to accept the obvious truth. Blinded by the prejudice of their time, they could not, or would not, imagined that Africans had built something so grand. So they invented fantasies. They claimed it must have been built by ancient Phoenicians, or wandering Arabs, or the biblical Queen of Sheba, anyone at all, so long as they were not African. Treasure hunters tore through the ruins searching for the gold of Sheba, smashing the ancient layers and destroying priceless evidence in the process. Then real archaeologists arrived, studied the site carefully, and reached the only honest conclusion. Great Zimbabwe was, without any doubt, built by Africans. In the 1920s, the archaeologist Gertrude Caton Thompson proved it beyond argument. This was a medieval African city, the work of the ancestors of the Shona, and no one else. But the truth was politically inconvenient. The white colonial government that ruled the land did not want to admit that Africans had built a great civilization. So they did something almost unbelievable. The government actively censored the evidence and pressured guides and scholars to stay silent about who really built the city. For decades, an official lie was told about Great Zimbabwe, all to prop up the idea that black Africans could not govern or build for themselves. But you cannot bury the truth forever. When the nation finally won its independence in 1980, its people reclaimed their heritage in the proudest way possible. They named their new country Zimbabwe, after the Great Stone City, and placed its ancient soapstone bird at the very center of their flag. Even the sacred birds came home. 5 of the 8 had been carried overseas by looters, and it took more than a century, and the end of colonial rule, before the last pieces were finally returned to Zimbabwe. The city that racist theories tried to erase now gives its name to an entire nation, and stands as a proud symbol of African achievement. Today, Great Zimbabwe is a World Heritage Site, drawing visitors from around the globe to walk between its silent, towering walls. Its walls are more than stone. They are living proof of the skill, the wealth, and the ambition of a great African civilization, hidden for a time, but never truly lost. Great Zimbabwe teaches us that a city can be buried not only by sand and jungle, but by prejudice, and that the truth, like these mighty walls, has a way of enduring. That was our 7th lost city. Subscribe, and next time, in our season finale, we uncover a city with paved streets and running water, built 4,500 years ago by a civilization that vanished and left us not even its name. I will see you there. The city that racist theories tried to erase now gives its name to an entire nation and stands as a proud symbol of African achievement. Today, Great Zimbabwe is a World Heritage Site, drawing visitors from around the globe to walk between its silent, towering walls. Its walls are more than stone. They are living proof of the skill, the wealth, and the ambition of a great African civilization, hidden for a time, but never truly lost. Great Zimbabwe teaches us that a city can be buried not only by sand and jungle, but by prejudice, and that the truth, like these mighty walls, has a way of enduring. That was our 7th lost city. Subscribe, and next time, in our season finale, we uncover a city with paved streets and running water, built 4,500 years ago by a civilization that vanished and left us not even its name. I will see you there.